Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted Reviews. Today I'll be going through Kingdoms and Castles, a video game about managing a kingdom and a castle. Kinda. It's more accurate to say that you're managing the peasants who will then build your kingdoms and castles. So I suppose kingdom/castle management is still pretty accurate. You don't actually need the castle part of it besides your main castle in itself, like the base part of your kingdom. You could in theory do without the walls and defenses. It's just that dragons and Vikings will tear down all your farms if you do. Anyway, so as you can tell from the graphics alone, it's pretty simplistic, but it's something about its simplicity that's kind of beautiful. It's serene, I could say. I wouldn't say that I get into this video game, more so that I get lost in it. It's a very easy game to lose track of when you're playing it. When I play it, I think, I'll play this for 10 or 20 minutes, and then 2 hours later I realize, oh, I went a bit beyond 10 or 20 minutes. It's the kind of game that you need patience for, but it's also the kind that just sucks the time out of you. You've heard of a good book being called a page turner, a book you can't put down. It's kind of the same thing with this specific video game, at least for me. So how do you play? Well, you begin by generating the actual level itself. It's random seeded. You can make it a small map, big map. You can choose the difficulty, and you can also choose your banner. You can also make your own custom one. As you might have seen on screen, I just copied the Mandalorian symbol. I thought that was a bit of a laugh. Anyway, so I made a little new town. I started up, and I made the terrible mistake of putting my stuff nowhere near any source of stone, which you do need. But anyways, to start your town off, you need to chop down trees for wood. You need to get food. Here's the thing. A lot of people who play management-style games like this will probably be familiar with this idea, but for everyone else, supply lines are very important. You can't just make a farm and go, okay, I've got a food-producing building, I'm good. No, you don't just do that. You have to make a food-producing building, in this case, farm, and then make sure your people can access it. So not only just access it, but also store it. So if you have 1 billion farms, that's not going to matter if all the food spoils. You got to have grain houses or storage houses to put your food. Then the food has to be able to get to your villages. You can do this by having them directly take from the stockpile directly, or you can have the food go to taverns or bakeries to be processed and taken away. This also increases the happiness of your villages, which makes more and more people want to join, which gives you more people to build your stuff. You get the idea. Every piece of resource is on the map. See that wood being chopped down? It's going to lie on the ground unless someone picks it up and moves it somewhere. You could put it in a central location so it's easier for people to carry around. You can then take that wood, build a house with it. Take that wood, build some roads, which sounds a bit weird. I assume the wood's mostly for the fences on the side. There's a lot of you need X to progress to the next kind of building sort of logic. And the planning, there is actually a decent amount of planning that goes into this game. As you may have noticed, the different kinds of ground tile colors are different for fertility. Depending on where you put your farms, you'll get different yields of crops. You want it to be on more and more fertile ground. You can change the fertility with certain different special buildings later on, but let's not go into that for now. Your villages will also be more or less upset if they're next to really loud quarries, for example. No one wants to sleep next to the banging sounds of stone. So that's something that you have to keep in mind as well. Also, the road from their ability to access food, even if you have storage houses out the wazoo, will mean nothing if your villagers can't actually reach the food in time before they starve or the food spoils. All this you have to take in consideration. And then you have the attacks. Now, I haven't actually shown you any of these attacks yet. The video might show you a dragon. I'm not sure. I'm actually recording this voiceover separate from the gameplay. But anyways, occasionally dragons will come to attack your village, and you'll need archer towers to deal with that. So there is a bit of a defense tower sort of element. Thing is, if your soldiers are in that tower, it means that they're not working on making food, they're not working on building, they're not working to keep the kingdom like up and such like that. So personally, and I don't know if this is optimal, what I like to do is you can also change the priority of jobs. You can tell people to stop being farmers and build a house. You can stop people from being lumberers and tell them to, you know, get stone instead. The more types of buildings you have, the more jobs you have, the less idle folks there are. But soldiers are always going to be idle if there's nothing to shoot at. This also includes Vikings and ogres. You can also build the walls to slow down the enemy, so it takes them longer to get to your squishier, more important food-producing parts. You can also build tax collectors, barracks, lots of little tiny things here and there. And at the end of the day, your islands, or island depending on your map, will always have limited land space. And at that point, you'd think there's nothing to do, and to a degree that is true. You'll have less builders because there's nothing to really build. You probably might have to repair things if they get destroyed by weather or dragon attacks. But I find that it's still pleasant to just watch your town go about its business. It's simple, but you get a sense of satisfaction, I suppose, from just watching. If I've edited this video correctly, you'll probably be watching one of my larger towns right now. And this is the one I'm most proud of. It's the first one I ever made. And while it doesn't have any of the newer buildings that the newer updates have put in, I'm still very proud of it, especially of the giant super tower. It's still being worked on, but I'm happy enough with the town as is that I don't feel the need to really do anything more with it. Anyways, I appreciate you all coming to watch my little kingdom here become a big kingdom. I hope you watch my other videos. Comment, like, and subscribe, and maybe we'll come back to this subject another day. My name is Freebie Wits, and like I said, thank you for watching.